Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another live stream, daily Chelsea update, more fallout from the Carabao Cup final and general chat about Chelsea and where the club are at right now and what can be done to sort things out, who needs to be taking responsibility, all sorts going on. As you can imagine, less than 24 hours after the defeat at Wembley, there have been briefings galore, as always. We've got one about Christopher Nkunku. We've got news about Pochettino needing to qualify for Europe. Insiders thinking Mudryk could have been one of the players of the season this year. We've got Daniel Finkenstein, one of the directors, coming out in response to a lack of communication when asked by a fan about why there's not been enough communication. Chelsea have hired someone called Owen Eastwood to lead a project on their history and identity, which will impact the environments at Stamford Bridge and the Cobham Training Centre. I don't really know what that's going to do for us, but, one of those. Pochettino's extra time comments being misconstrued is another one that we can dive into. There's lots and lots to get into. Many people in football apparently believe that Chelsea are going to fall foul of profit and sustainability rules within the Premier League, and the club may not be the attraction that it once was. That is according to an article by Matt Law. So, guys, as always, there is plenty to get into. So big up to everyone that's locked in the building already. Make sure you're smashing that like button. Make sure you subscribe if you're new around here as well. We sailed past 8K last night. Big up to everyone for the support. But it doesn't stop there, guys. So if you're new around here, please hit that subscribe button. Please run the likes up as well, guys. 50 likes is always the minimum target. It's always the first port, of course. So please do smash that like button. It's free. And it does me the world of good, more than you could imagine. So make sure that you do smash that like button. And let's say hello to a few people in the chat. And before we dive into proceedings, Gallagher gone. I don't think so. Sporting director and Pochettino needs to go. Look, I think needs to be a structural rethink. Absolutely. Poch needs to go. Sterling must leave. Mudryk, Madueke too. Pochettino mentality. I don't think this. I actually don't think the subs were poor yesterday. In terms of the changes that were made, those were the only changes we could make because of who we've got available to us on the bench. So, the subs didn't make any impact, but the changes weren't the wrong changes to make. That's for sure. What is the point of sacking Poch when same directors recruit players and appoint a manager? Yeah, this is the thing. What people are not understanding is that, like, unless the directors go, then nothing else is really going to change. You can get someone else in, but the project stays the same. The brief stays the same. It's still going to be Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart calling the majority of the shots. So in reality, nothing really changes. What else have we got coming in here? It's a hard time being a Chelsea fan. We need to stick together. Yeah, no, look, obviously we have to stick together through thick and thin, but absolutely things do need to be called out at the club. And I think that's more than fair. You can still support what's happening. You can still support the team, but be critical at the same time. The two things can coexist. Just because you're criticizing what's going on at the club, it doesn't mean that, you don't want the club to do well. The two things can coexist. We will be back at some point. The problem is, I don't know when that point's going to be. That's the main thing. PR day after every L. Yeah, it always is, mate. Always is. But that's it's not just a Chelsea thing. I think it's just a thing in general that happens. It's just a thing in general, unfortunately. Yes, big up Wes. Dull one yesterday. Still a long way to go. Yeah, it was a poor one yesterday. There is a long way to go for this team. A long way to go. Yes, big up for the super sticker. Massively appreciated, brother. Hope you're doing well. Madueke should have come on before Mudryk. To be honest, like, he came on pretty much, maybe 10 minutes afterwards. I don't really think, that would have made that much difference, if we're being brutally honest. I don't trust those sporting directors when summer transfer window comes and we're going to be buying more young players. Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens on that front. But let's dive into today's main news then. Let's start with, what should we start with? Let's have a look. Let's start with Pochettino and obviously the comments from after the Carabao Cup final that have caused a bit of a stir in terms of playing for the penalties. And it does raise a bigger issue. Matt Law, who was obviously in the presser, my read of Pochettino's press conference was that he was saying the players were knackered and subconsciously started to play for penalties. I didn't get any sense that he set them up or told them to, or that the players consciously set out to. Having said that, I still believe Chelsea were awful in extra time, facts, and it was very odd that they just stepped off. Poch said Gallagher had to come off, but moving Palmer inside didn't work. He was Chelsea's biggest threat from the right. I also think the way in which the team wilted was perhaps the biggest example we've had of a lack of leadership and character in the squad. Nobody wanted to take responsibility and be brave to go and try and win it. They just didn't want to lose. For me, I think that's the biggest one. That's the biggest one for me, is that, look, you can call the comments misconstrued or whatever you want to call it, but I don't believe that the players just suddenly, having finished the 90 in such a strong manner and looking like there was only going to be one winner, would suddenly in extra time take it upon themselves to just essentially down tools and just play for the penalties and not go for it. That game was there from the taking. Something must have come from the manager. In order for there to be such a big drop-off in performance. And it raises the question, like, why were we knackered when we'd had a full week to prepare for this game? We had 6 better options on the bench than Liverpool did, and we had a better team out in terms of personnel than Liverpool did. So this raises the question of one of two things. Either we're not fit, which could be a thing, or, which I suspect is more likely, because there's been reports of this already this season, is that Pochettino is working these players too hard, too close to the game, because there's no reason why we should have been more tired than Liverpool were at this point of the match. We shouldn't have been. We simply shouldn't have been. So look, you can call it misconstrued or whatever, the comments, but ultimately, like, there must be something in this, because I don't think I refuse to believe that the players decided to take it upon themselves when the game was there for the taking, when we were in the ascendancy at the end of the game, that we're like, oh, let's just play for penalties. Like that directive has got to be coming from somewhere. Because as a player, you should always want to win. But as soon as that extra time started, we looked like suddenly going from looking like the team going to win it in the 90 to then retreating into our shells against a Liverpool side that, let's be real, is probably not even their B team, probably their C team. And we were then just clinging on for dear life and trying to pay for penalties. When that game was there for the taking, we should have grabbed it by the scruff of the neck and pushed on and tried to find the winner, because Liverpool were there for the taking. That side would have been more than happy to get to the penalties. So, like, these comments for me, like, I don't want to. Look, you can say what you want about them. Like, obviously, it doesn't reflect well. I think, to be honest, he was probably too honest for his own good. Probably shouldn't have said that yesterday, just because it would have saved him a lot of heat. But again, there needs to be, I think, another big issue at Chelsea is why is there no accountability for what's going on? Why does no one take any responsibility whatsoever? No one takes any responsibility for anything. Ownership seemingly not taking responsibility. Directors don't seem to take any responsibility. Manager doesn't really seem to take an awful lot of responsibility. And the players don't really seem to be taking an awful lot of responsibility either. So you're in a situation where it's kind of just a parcel of blame. Like, no one's taking accountability. It's like almost like they're playing hot potato with blame, just like throwing it around, and like, there needs to be accountability. No one's happy with what's going on right now. No one's happy with the situation the club find themselves in. No one's happy with what happened yesterday. But the reality is that, like, you just got to front up and take some responsibility. We got what we deserved yesterday. We didn't take our chances and we were punished. And that's the brutal reality of the situation. We didn't take our chances. You can talk about manager comments. You can talk about this and that, or whatever. You can say that, tactically it was wrong or whatever it was. But ultimately, we played well enough to win that game in the 90 minutes. And once again, and I think Alan Shearer said this on the Rest Is Football podcast, that yesterday was a damning indictment of Chelsea's recruitment policy. Once again, guys, we were looking for, look at all that money we've spent. And again, glaring, absolutely glaring. Shearer was saying, I thought, doesn't it typify what's happened or happening at Chelsea? They haven't got someone to put the ball in the back of the net. They created the chances, and we've been saying it most of the season. They've spent an absolute fortune. Can you imagine? You're in the dressing room and see the team sheet come through. And today, lads, there is no Salah, no Jota, Nunes, Trent, Alisson, Szoboszlai. You'd think this is our opportunity, and they couldn't. They failed to take it. There is nothing unlucky about missing chances. If you create them, you've got to put them in the back of the net. When you spend that much money on players and you haven't got a top centre forward, you've only got yourselves to blame. And he's absolutely spot on with that. That was the biggest indictment yesterday, right, of the recruitment process, that you look at it. And I refuse to believe that we haven't got talented players in this team, in this squad. We absolutely do. But it's also fair to say that we probably recruited some players that ultimately aren't good enough for Chelsea. But the money that we spent, and to be saying this yet again, that we don't have someone to put the ball in the back of the net on a regular basis. Oh, if only Chelsea had a centre forward, we would have won. We would have won that game yesterday. Ifs and buts, the same ifs and buts, the same conversations that we've been having for years and years and years. Toothless in the final third. We need a centre forward. We spend all this money in the summer. Okay, I get it. The market wasn't amazing for strikers, but you're telling me that we couldn't get a half decent solution to make things a bit easier for us, to just leave that totally unaddressed. And then in January again, you let a centre forward go when you desperately need. I'm not saying Bro is the answer, but like, you lose that profile from your squad. You need another forward, and you let one go. It is a damning indictment of our recruitment policy. That was the biggest thing for me, is that, not only the centre forward thing, but also in that game, that's when you needed some experience, some leadership, and someone to take some responsibility for what's going on. No one was doing that. We had no Chilwell on the pitch, no Sterling, no Thiago Silva. Yes, you've got Enzo Fernandez, who's won a World Cup, but he was surrounded by other players, that were able to take that game by the scruff of the neck. And simply, that was the biggest thing for us. This young team didn't know how to deal with what was going on, didn't know how to play the situation, didn't know what they were doing. Everyone was looking around to each other for thinking, well, what the fuck do we do here? Everyone was looking around, like no one had the answers. And then suddenly, like, you're looking around and like you're thinking, oh fuck, we're clinging on for dear life here, rather than someone grabbing it by the scruff of the neck and saying, look, guys, they're here for the taking. Let's dig in. Let's do this. But there was no one to do that. There was no determination from anyone to try and sort anything out. And that, for me, was a big, big issue. But again, the main thing for me is it boils down to, yet again, piss poor recruitment. Simple as that. Simple as that. Poor recruitment, people. That is the reality of the situation that we find ourselves in. It's just it's unforgivable. It's unforgivable to have spent all that money and then to be still having the same conversations. Oh, we don't have a striker. We need someone to put the ball in the back of the net for us on a regular basis. That's why we didn't win yesterday. How many times are we going to be having this conversation? Yeah, I get it. The manager can't be blamed. 100% the manager can't be blamed for the chances being missed. I absolutely agree on that. But at the same time, he can be blamed for tactical situations. He can be blamed for, the seeming downing of tools in extra time. But ultimately, look, you can say all you want about a manager, and he's not beyond criticism. But ultimately, from top to bottom, too much change has taken place way too quickly. It gutted the whole club out. And right now, it looks like Bowley, Egbali, the directors, they don't have any idea what they're fucking doing. And that's a major problem, where you've got players on the pitch who don't really know what they're doing. You've got a manager who is struggling to perform. You've got directors who are out of their depth. You've got owners that have got no idea what's going on or how to run a football club. And you put all those things together and you're left with one big mess, which is exactly what we've got right now. And all you get coming out are PR after PR after PR. Oh, hire here, recruitment hire there. It's a damning indictment at the moment of the club. And we need some communication from the ownership. We need some communication from the directors. We need something, because right now, everyone associated with the club is completely and utterly disillusioned with what is going on. Completely disillusioned with what's going on right now. We have got to be doing better. Got to be doing better. It's as simple as that, guys. It's absolutely as simple as that. What are you lot saying in the chat? Let me try and get to a few things. Sesko is coming, don't worry. Yeah, I imagine it probably will be him. I suspect if I was a betting man, which I'm not, but if I had to put my neck out right now and say what forward's coming in the summer, I'd say it's Victor Gyökeres. Simple as that. That would be my hunch right now. As someone of experience working for a big firm with newly graduated kids from biz school, it's all about leadership. Chelsea lack leadership on the pitch and behind the scenes. Yeah, we do. We absolutely do. That's as clear as day. That for me is perhaps maybe even a bigger issue than not having experienced players in the squad. I think the leadership behind the scenes is majorly lacking. It's same in a corporate environment as on the football pitch. Leadership creates talents and builds the confidence in young players. Yeah, I would agree with you. We've been set up to fail from the summer. Shocking recruitment and the type of players we bought. I'll be honest. Like I think like a lot of fans got majorly carried away with the summer recruitment. I genuinely thought I was excited by it. Excited, talented players. But I think, to be honest, I just got massively carried away with what we've bought and massively overlooked how big the job would be, how difficult it is to get that many players to settle in at once. And I honestly thought we'd be challenging for 4th or 5th spot. The reality, unfortunately, has turned out to be very, very different. Not a happy chat, as you can imagine. We had a whole week to prepare for this game. Yeah, I absolutely agree, brother. I agree. And this, I think, is fair criticism. And like, look, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but fans that just go, get out, Poch, get out my club with no valid criticisms. Like, if you're gonna have an opinion, you need to have some sort of reasoning behind it and be able to back it up with evidence. Now, this is a fair point. Like, does he create a winning mentality? I don't know. Everyone's different, but if I was in a dressing room before a final, I'm not sure if I'd be feeling like I want to run through brick walls for this guy. I want to do everything for this guy. I'm going to do whatever it takes to win this cup for this guy. I'm not sure the players feel that way about the manager. I'm not sure the manager instills that sort of feeling into the players either. It's not like a Jose or a Conte maybe, or an Ancelotti, where you'd run through brick walls for these guys. You do whatever it takes to win. I don't get the same feeling about Poch. I'm not sure. He's not really a winner. I don't know if he knows how to create a winning culture, how to create a winning mentality, how to transfer that onto a group of young players. It's a really difficult one. What else is coming in? There's loads more stuff coming in, guys. I'll try and get through as much of this as I can. If you want to guarantee that your comment gets read out, guys, please do use the super chat function. Any donation, no matter how big or small, is greatly appreciated. Please keep running the likes up, guys. 84 in the building. Big yourselves up. Only 31 likes. Let's get this to 50 likes as quickly as possible, people. And please keep hitting that subscribe button as well. Every new subscriber really helps, as we're on the road to 10,000 subscribers now. So please do help me get there as quickly as possible. But run the likes up, guys. It's free. Takes seconds to do. And it really, really helps out in the algorithm with YouTube. So please do that. What else have we got? Can we get some experience? Can we get a striker? It's not just purely experience. We need quality as well. We have a better squad than Aston Villa and Spurs. On paper, we do, but not in the reality. Aston Villa and Spurs have got way more experienced players than us, way more players with know-how, way more match winners than us. We haven't got any match winners. Now, you can talk till the cows come home about match winners in about players' potentials. But when it boils down to it, how many players have we got that are reliable and that you could hang your hat on to win you a game of football? Maybe Cole Palmer. That is it. One. And he's a 21-year-old that arrives from Manchester City in the summer, playing his first year of regular Premier League football. We have one player that you could genuinely hang your hat on and say is a game winner. No, we can't say that about anyone else. Not right now. Christopher Nkunku, I think, can absolutely grow into that role, but we can't say it about anyone. So yeah, you can see why we are in the problems that we are in. Let's move on from there. I want to talk about this now. Because this is an article from Matt Law. Again, I don't want to accuse it of being scaremongery, but this has obviously come from somewhere. Just about everybody in football believes Chelsea are in danger of running into trouble over PSR rules, and the threat of punishment and a possible points deduction from the Abramovich era means the job might not be too good to turn down. So there's 2 points to dive into here. Now, obviously, we know that we've spent a lot of money. That goes without saying. I would like to have thought that if one thing, Burnley and Egg Barley and everyone else involved in Clear Lake, Feliciano and whatnot, they got an idea about one thing. I'd like to think it's numbers, because they're successful businessmen. They've made money. They're not idiots. They might not understand how to run a football club and how that sort of things work. That sort of thing works, but it's profit and PSR, profit and sustainability rules. These guys obviously know how numbers work. They know. Surely we would have thought they would have known that. But Chelsea are now in danger of running into trouble over PSR rules, which, if that were to be the case, then that's just utterly ludicrous. Like, we've spent money, we've done the long contracts, we've amortized the cost of transfers over multiple years. But to help with that, it does mean that we need to get some form of European football and to help with that, because otherwise we are going to run into problems. We do need money coming in, particularly when you don't have that European football money. There's obviously a lot less money coming into the club. I just don't understand how we could possibly find ourselves in a situation where we might be breaking the Premier League's profit and sustainability rules. I mean, it's just beggars belief. The one thing that you thought would be something that, we'd be all right with and that these guys actually know about, we could end up falling foul of that as well. It just makes an absolute mockery of everything that is going on right now. Makes an absolute mockery of everything going on at the club right now. How could we possibly be in a situation where we're going to possibly breach PSR rules? That's why we're so desperate to sell these academy products, because they're pure profit and we need that cash flow. It's all kind of adding up and kind of starting to make sense now. It really is. It really is. And what's not making sense, guys, is the fact that we're still only on 37 likes. 88 in the building, only 37 likes. That is a really poor conversion rate, guys. What are you guys doing? Come on, people. We've got 95 in the building now, only 37 likes. Get these likes up, guys. Come on, people. We're all in this together. So please do smash the like button. Run them up, run them up, run them up. But yeah, what else have we got going on here? Yeah, maybe. I'll see what can be done. Has Poch implemented any system basic structure that underpins team and shapes what it is? On occasions we've seen I would say yes, but no, absolutely not on any sort of regular basis whatsoever. That much is absolutely clear. Absolutely clear. My guess would be that they thought we would have better results with their investment. it's always, the thing is though, it's always dangerous when you make heavy investment based on based on based on a prediction rather than almost based on a hunch, really. You know, when you look back at it now, it's actually ridiculous to think that this team was going to get into the Champions League this season. It just was. It just was. And if we've spent that money based on the fact we thought we were going to get Champions League football, then that's another damning indictment on the ownership as well, not understanding what it takes to be competitive in the Premier League. You don't put a squad together like we have if you've got if the remit was to qualify for Champions League football, because that squad right now is not good enough to qualify for Champions League football. Will it be good enough? Yes, I think it will be in a couple of years' time, but that's not right now. So how can you potentially have spent this money on the premise that you think this team's good enough to qualify for Champions League football when the reality is so different? We're nowhere near. We're nowhere near good enough to qualify for Champions League football right now. Absolutely nowhere near. So, yeah, it is a major issue. It's a major issue. I wouldn't say no Europe again. Conference League and Europa League are still doable. But, yeah, this idea that, you know, we could be in breach of the PSR rules it's another slap in the face, and it's another damning indictment of this ownership. It really is. Bet it's PR after a loss. Do you think we're just going to go on a losing streak now? I don't know. I don't know. I'd like to think that we would be capable of beating Leeds on Wednesday night. But you know, you've got no idea what might happen in that game. But I'd like to think we'll be more than capable of beating Leeds. But again, you'd have to question whether how likely that was or not. We've got Brentford after that. We've got Brentford away on Saturday. We've then got Newcastle away the following Monday. Then it would be a potential FA Cup quarter-final the weekend after Newcastle. Or if we were, God forbid, we get knocked out, it would be a trip to the fucking Emirates to take on Arsenal. So, yeah, it doesn't get any easier. It doesn't get any easier. The next 3 Premier League games, if we were to get knocked, well, regardless, the next 3 Premier League games are Brentford away, Newcastle at home, and Arsenal away. It doesn't get any easier. It absolutely does not get any easier. Yes, big up. I'm not happy with that. We lost at Wembley. We haven't won at Wembley for 5-6 years now. No, yeah, it's not going well. This is on the owners and the model. I think everyone has to take collective responsibility. Everyone. But for me, it's far more on the ownership and the directors than it is on the manager. I know it appears like that. I think I would have to agree on the whole that there doesn't seem to be any sort of consistent tactical plan. There's just nothing. No, we have never seen a system this season at all. Again, constant chops and changes can be put down to the horrendous amount of injuries we've had. But yeah, I think he has struggled to find a settled lineup. I don't know if he knows what his best team is. And that, again, in itself, as a manager, when you're struggling, if you don't even know what your best team is, that's a major issue. It's a major issue. Almost as big an issue as, you know, what we're kind of finding ourselves in now. I'm so upset, mate, losing yesterday. Oh, fair. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, mate. Yeah, I mean, I can't really provide any help on the second part, but yeah, the first part, bro, we're all in this together. It hurts. At least we've got another chance on Wednesday to try and put things right. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's not a good feeling. Not a good feeling whatsoever. What else have we got? Do you think most of these players are good enough, or are we? The reality is that I think there are several of these players that will go on to be very good for us. Enzo Fernandez, Moises Caicedo, Cole Palmer, Conor Gallagher. I think others that we've signed, I'm not sure. I think, you know, the jury has to be out right now on the likes of Mykhailo Mudryk, Noni Madueke. Those two for certain. Nicholas Jackson to a lesser extent because he's only just arrived. But the reality is, I think there's probably more players that aren't good enough for Chelsea from the ones we've signed than ones that ultimately will be good enough. And that's the reality. I don't think we've got mid-table standard players, but the reality of the situation is that I think a lot of the players that have been bought actually aren't good enough for Chelsea. That's going to be the reality. They all come for Poch. I'm sick of it. Look further up. Yeah, look, the manager's not without criticism. You know, the manager's not without criticism. The structure, the ownership and the directors aren't the ones making the substitutions. They aren't the ones doing the tactics. They aren't the ones carrying out the in-game management. But yeah, I absolutely agree that, you know, a lot more heat should be heading their way. Simple as that. A lot more heat should be heading their way. And it quite simply isn't. It quite simply isn't, which for me is quite staggering. Guys, there's so much coming in now. I'm not going to be able to get through all of these comments. I'm just going to scroll down to the bottom and start from there. If you go out the FA Cup on Wednesday, ultimately, like, it's irrelevant. There's nothing to play. If we go out the cup, there's nothing to play for. So there's no point bringing someone new in. That's the reality right now for me. Regardless of what happens, we need to make it to the end of the season with Pochettino. Simple as that. It makes no sense removing the manager at this late stage in the season. We're basically in March. What is the point in replacing the manager then? It makes no sense. Makes no sense whatsoever. People need to understand, if you have a coward training soldiers, you will have a cowardly army. It's simple human psychology. The midfield needed a Lavia to unleash Enzo and Caicedo. I feel Enzo and Caicedo don't feel comfortable next to each other in a double pivot. Well, obviously they're still getting to know what it's like to play with each other, but they have had good games there together. But I do agree that Lavia, I think, will be key for this Chelsea team. Again, we don't want to fall down the route of putting too much pressure on one player, but I think Lavia could definitely make a big difference. Could make a big difference to this team. But he really could. What else have we got going on? We should have won yesterday. Liverpool still have 3 more competitions that they can win, but we don't really have many more, especially if we are losing to players that still go to school. We've got the FA Cup to play for still, but that's it. But even then, if we were to somehow get to Wembley semi-final or a final, do we really trust this group, this coaching setup? Do we really trust, like, Chelsea to be able to actually get the job done at Wembley? I certainly don't. I absolutely don't. So yeah, we're in for a tough situation. It's directors of football, not a single person hired from a winning proven structure. No ex-Madrid Bayern. I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with hiring from Brighton, but I think what the problem is, though, is we've put people in positions that have got no experience of those positions. When Stanley's not been a director, he was just a talent. He was like a talent ID guy. So yeah, I mean, we've got people in important positions that are out of their depth and have got no experience of those positions prior. So yeah, it's that for me is a big problem as well. It's a big problem. No denying it. FA Cup gives us Europa. No one had us favourites in 12 and 21. If we survive Leeds, I think getting an experienced interim like Jose would make sense. I don't think Jose would come to the end of the season, not just for a couple of months. And I don't really know how much impact he would really make over a couple of months. I think Ugochukwu is a holding midfield player. In my opinion, I would say that's his best position. Well, he's not at the moment. He's not at the moment. But hopefully, he can put his injury issues behind him, and he can be He can play an important role in the team. Don't trust this side to get past Leeds. Yeah, it's going to be tough. Stamford Bridge is going to be an interesting place on Wednesday night because the pressure will absolutely be on. I think the atmosphere will be interesting. Around the game. Yeah, it's certainly going to be an interesting one. By the way, guys, 100 in the building. Big up to everyone that is locked in. Appreciate all of the support. But I thought Nkunku was our saviour. Yeah, again, Nkunku's another one. I'm going to get onto him a bit later. Yeah, it's certainly hard not to feel that way. Sonal River, big up for the super sticker. Greatly appreciated, bro. There's so much coming in. Did Pochettino and Bole not shake hands? No, they didn't. I mean, look, I don't know if he's just missed him or what's gone on there. But yeah, optically, it doesn't look great. I think obviously more's being made out of it than was actually the case. But yeah, it's just another thing that you just don't really need. That's the reality. But I mean, look, I want to move on to the second part of that in terms of people that want the manager gone, people that think we can get an elite manager to come in. Again, I've been saying this for a long time. That simply isn't the case anymore. Chelsea is now a job that A, is not that attractive, and B, is actually one that, yeah, you really would consider turning it down. It's not the huge attraction that it once was. That is the reality of the situation. And right now, when you look at it in the summer, if we were to make a change and move on from Pochettino, when you look at the clubs that are going to be looking for a new manager, when you look at the club that are going to be looking for a new manager, Bayern Munich are going to be looking for a new manager, Liverpool looking for a new manager, Barcelona looking for a new manager, Man United potentially looking for a new manager. That's 4 big teams potentially looking for a new manager at this point in time. There could be more come the end of the season. You telling me that this is more attractive than any of those clubs? It absolutely isn't. So all the top managers that are linked with those jobs are going to go there, and then we're going to be looking at a list of the cast-offs that weren't chosen for those top jobs. So anyone that thinks that an elite manager coming in is very much deluded. The elite manager's not coming in. Who is going to want to work with this setup and with Chelsea how it is right now? No one. You'll end up with another project manager, another sort of young up and coming manager. That is what you're going to end up with. And that doesn't, what difference does that make? What difference does that make? It really makes no difference whatsoever. Makes no difference whatsoever. We're a big club by name, sure, but right now everything else about us doesn't scream big club at all. Doesn't scream big club at all. Even like people talk about, Ruben Amorim at Sporting Lisbon. Yeah, okay, very good manager, but again, he's going to be linked with bigger jobs than the Chelsea job, and that unfortunately is just the reality, guys, of the situation that we find ourselves in. This is not an attractive job anymore. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. I mean, another bit from that Matt Law article was, let me just bring it up now. Yeah, that one there. That apparently, and again, we take this with a pinch of salt, but an associate of a top coach who would almost certainly be linked with succeeding Maurizio Pochettino if sacked remarks, every manager will be in trouble with this team. And do you know what? Whoever said that is absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on. And people, and when I've said this in the past, people have been like, "Oh, don't be stupid. Don't be stupid." Like we when someone else comes in, we definitely do better. We wouldn't be doing better. I don't. You could have Pep Guardiola. You could have Jurgen Klopp here. You could have any top manager here right now, and they would be struggling with this team because it's horribly misbalanced, the squad. It's massively inexperienced, and it is not set up to be successful in the Premier League right now. So we're going to have a situation. We're going to have a situation where no one worth their salt is going to want to come to Chelsea, and whoever does come is going to have the same issues that we're seeing right now. That's the reality. People have got there. I'm sorry, but if you think we're getting an elite manager in the summer, then you're very much mistaken, and you've got your head in the clouds. Absolute head in the clouds. If you think a top manager is going to come to this football club in the summer, they aren't. Who's going to want to work under this structure? Who's going to want to work with a massively imbalanced squad, with a squad that hasn't got any experienced players, with a squad that is full of players that are potential, with nowhere near enough of them getting anywhere near the potential that the recruitment team thought they had? if you're a manager, if I'm a manager, why are you going? Why would you go anywhere near this job unless A, you're desperate, or B, you're a little bit, you're kind of like not you're on the fringes of trying to get a big job, and this is the only one that you're offered. Otherwise, anyone else is not gonna go near us. Not gonna go near us. Way I see it, have the players been good enough? No, but that was expected in the process. Has the manager been good enough? No, and that was not expected about this. I don't know. The players. No, ultimately, the reality is no one's been good enough. No one's been good enough. Guys, 106 in the building, 55 likes only. Let's get this well on the way to 100 likes, people. Please keep smashing the like button. It's free. It takes seconds, and it does really, really help out. It boosts the stream in the algorithm on YouTube, and it gets more eyes on the channel. So, please do that. I would be forever grateful. So let's get these likes up towards 100. I know there's plenty of you in here that definitely haven't smashed that like button. And whilst you're at it, guys, please do subscribe if you are new round here as well. That would be really, really appreciated. So if you could do both those things, guys, it would be amazing. A lot of upcoming managers would want a chance to coach in the famous Premier League. CFC is just a bigger challenge. Yeah, but again, up-and-coming managers, are we really going to get what we need out of them? Probably not. Yeah, that's the reality of the situation. You either accept that the project is wrong and you change tact, or you stick with the project. And they're not going to rip this project up. They're sticking with it until it works. We're too far down the road now. Leverkusen were trash a few years ago. Villa were trash last season. Newcastle were bottom of the league. A good manager makes a huge difference. Yeah, but what was the difference between all those teams? All got experienced players. All got players with know-how, whereas we don't. And that is the simple reality. Money talks. Pay the manager big money, and you'll get a top manager most likely. It's not. I don't think it's as simple as that. It's more than just money. It is more than just money. Those days of it just being money are long gone now. In my opinion, Poch's subs found them out yesterday. Well, those were the only subs that we could make. The subs weren't the problem. They just didn't. The substitutions just didn't make an impact. But the actual changes themselves were the right changes to make. Those were the obvious. Those were the only changes that we could make. We have no elite players. Why would an elite manager come in? Someone washed like Jose may come to revive his career. Yeah, I wouldn't call Jose washed, but yeah, there's certainly in terms of maybe top jobs. But yeah, anyway, the only way that Jose would potentially work is if this squad was pretty much good enough to win and it just needed that little bit extra, then sure. But any sort of team that is not ready to win now, that's no good for Jose. No good. I agree with you. Surely a top manager comes with a proven winning CV. We are miles away from competing with the top teams. We absolutely are. But yeah, look, the reality is, I think hopefully it's dawning on the people in charge. The reality here, guys, is that we aren't good enough, and we're not an attractive proposition like we once were. And the team that's been put together, anyone would be in trouble with it. And I will die on that hill. This is not me defending the manager. This is me just stating what I believe to be facts, and the realities are that this team has been horribly put together, and that anyone would be struggling with this team right now. And that once again, another damning indictment on this ownership and the way that they've gone around things so far. That's the reality of that's the reality of the situation. Simple as that. That's the problem. And again, just whilst we're on this, the Jacob Steinberg article has just dropped, as it were. And according to him, or his sources anyway, Winstanley has got close to the powerful Eghbali. Some sources believe he's going nowhere, but others believe he could be vulnerable if Eghbali's trust wavers. Someone is going to have to carry the can for the iffy signings. Yeah, that's that again. That doesn't surprise me. It's mad how Winstanley seems to be in there. It really is kind of staggering, really. But that is that's where we're at right now. It seems that Winstanley's got close to Eghbali, but ultimately, who's going to carry the can for these signings not working out? I mean, Winstanley was majorly involved in a lot of those deals. That much has been said in the same thing. Where is it now? Let me just find it. Yeah, Winstanley has been involved in a lot of big deals, and some sources believe he's going nowhere. Yeah, he's been involved in a lot of the big deals, and it's a lot of the big deals that haven't really been working out, guys. Haven't been working out. A lot of these big deals have not worked out, and the one common thing is Winstanley involved in them. So how is Eghbali supposedly still got trust in this guy, where you can see he isn't getting the job done. He simply isn't doing the job. So there's just problems everywhere. Problems on the pitch, problems with the players, problems with the playing staff, problems within the structure, problems with the manager. There's literally problems everywhere at the moment, and yeah, I don't really know what we do about this, but someone's going to have to take the flak for some of these signings, and with Winstanley being involved in a majority of them, that responsibility falls firmly at his door. So we're going to probably end up seeing Lawrence Stewart taking the flak, and probably going to have to take the hit for the poor recruitment. It's a madness. It's a madness, really. Absolute madness. Yeah, potentially it is. In the right setup, he is. But yeah, in terms of going into a club that needs major surgery and major work, unfortunately, you would have to say that isn't the case anymore. What else have we got going on here? I'm pretty sure every Chelsea fan in here didn't want Poch as our manager. We all knew it wouldn't work. I don't know. It certainly wasn't my first choice. I definitely warmed to the idea. But yeah, it's not worked out particularly well so far. We're 10th in the league. We might be 11th in the league now, actually, with a game in hand. And yeah, and we obviously lost the cup final. Yeah, it's not been good enough. That's the reality. Too many things at Chelsea just aren't good enough, and that's a big problem in itself. That just too many things aren't good enough. Really an issue. That's been a contributing factor for sure, but we can't just blame the whole season on injuries. We can't. It's a contributing factor, but it's more than that. If Winstanley's involved in all the shit signings, Winstanley, at the end of the day, heads need to roll. And the first one, in my opinion, that should be rolling before anyone's is Winstanley. He needs to go. I don't think they're worse than the Glazers in terms of what the Glazers are obviously, not liked for. But yeah, it's certainly clear now that the wholesale changes they've made and the direction they've chosen to come down since they've come in, we're almost 2 years down the line, and there's not really been any improvement since this ownership came in. Even the players we rate, that these lot have bought in couldn't get the job done. Well, it's not just on them, but yeah, for sure. We couldn't get the job done. Simple as that. That's the reality. We didn't get the job done. I think it's still too early to judge the whole process. Give them a full season at least. Bro, we've given them a full season. Oh, do you mean a manager? Maybe it means a manager. Yeah, Joe Shill's probably the only one that I trust. The only one, I would say. Yep, that's also true. Well, hopefully Leeds don't beat us on Wednesday. That would be a major problem. That would be a major problem for sure. Chelsea changed everything at once. It was bad business and football decisions. Yeah, no, I agree. Too much was changed too quickly. Too much was changed too quickly. That's the reality. You know, too much changed too quickly, and now we're facing an uphill. Yeah, that's the thing. But again, let's move away from that now, and let's move on to a few other things that I have got to go through. And this again from the Steinberg article: whispers are already floating out of Stamford Bridge. Pochettino is already under review, despite only arriving last summer. Well-placed sources have predicted a split if Chelsea, who are languishing in 11th in the Premier League, miss out on their minimum expectation European qualification. And there's some other reports at the same thing, adding that if Chelsea, they're already floating at Chelsea Pochettino cannot afford to lose to Leeds. That's absolutely true. Look, I suspect he probably is under review, but once you get to a point where a manager's seemingly under like a game by game review, like it feels like the end of the road, doesn't it? When you've got to a point when you're on a game by game review, that's like boys to men, end of the road. Like how do you come back from that? You know, he's not popular amongst the large sections of the fan base. You know, yesterday would have been a massive opportunity to at least, well, to certainly maybe win some fans back on side, but to certainly silence fans that are against him. And now we're in a situation where, you know, we can't afford to miss out on European qualification. That's the simple reality. We cannot afford to miss out on European qualification, guys. But we are in danger of doing that. We are in danger of doing that. So let's hope that changes. But yeah, look, Wednesday against Leeds is absolutely massive. We need to win, not for Pochettino. We just need to win for the club. We need to win for the club, and we need to win for the fans. You know, it's a must-win game, and the fact that we're going in, yeah, he did, but look how totally different circumstances. A, in terms of squad, and B, in terms of how competitive the Premier League was. Totally different circumstances. No, I appreciate it. Yeah, it was a tough one yesterday. It was a tough one, but yeah, no, glad you enjoyed it. And guys, if you've not checked out the vlog, make sure once I've finished this stream that you do head over to the channel and check that one out. Yeah, guys, like the video. You know what to do, people. We're on 60 likes. Let's try and get this as close to 100 likes as well. Come on, people. Keep smashing that like button and subscribe as well if you're new around here. Yes, we've passed the 8,000 subscriber mark, but that doesn't mean that we stop there. Next call is 9,000 on our road to 10K before the end of the season, guys. That is the big aim. We still have the FA Cup. If we beat Leeds, we'll go to quarterfinals. And we still do have that. But again, as I was saying earlier, do you really trust this team to actually win a big game at Wembley when the pressure's on? Because I certainly don't. Pressure's definitely building up right now for Pochettino. I don't think we'll get any. I'm unsure. I still think that we will get some form of European football. But who convinced his owners we could make European football? I don't know. Maybe they just thought they could. Look, I think making European football is a basic expectation. I think the bigger issue is that they seemingly thought that the Champions League was going to be possible with this squad. And I'm just thinking, where on earth have those thoughts come from? Where's that come from? Where on earth has it come from? Because I'm struggling to work out where on earth it's come from. I don't know. I still, part of me still believes that we can. I think we can get maybe Conference League, which is not great, but it's still Europe and it's extra games and it's what we need. Didn't want Glenn Hoddle back in the day because he was Spurs, and I certainly didn't want Spursy Poch. Fair enough. No, probably not. Probably not. But again, I suppose in the ownership's mind, if we were to reach a semi-final or a final, then maybe they would, view that as progress again. Maybe they would. I don't know. I don't know. That's the reality of the situation there. But yeah, look, obviously, yeah, the pressure. If we lose tomorrow, then the pressure will absolutely ramp up, and you could see a situation where I'm not saying there'd be a change before Brentford on Saturday because there's not enough time to bring anyone in, but certainly maybe before the Newcastle game, there could be a change, which would be would be kind of mad, wouldn't it, when you think about it? But yeah, let's move away from that. What else was I going to look at? There's been a bit more stuff coming out. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, this is a little bit of concern. Chelsea's hierarchy remain happy with Lawrence Stewart and Paul Winstanley and want to build the foundations around them. Others are less complimentary. There are questions over the quality of their signings. Yeah, the hierarchy must mean Barley and Bowley. It has to. How can you be happy with what these guys have done? They want to build their foundations around them. I mean, this is potentially dangerous, people. This is potentially dangerous territory for us. If these guys want to build the club around two people that are seemingly incompetent and not good at what they're doing, then fuck, we might be in bigger trouble than we thought. How can they possibly be happy with what's going on? How? I don't understand that at all. That for me is a major issue, a big red flag. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the answer is to that, but it doesn't exactly fill you with much hope or optimism, does it? When you read things like that, it doesn't fill you with an awful lot of hope or optimism. Optimism right now, when you see things like that, with the hierarchy trusting these directors. Yeah, it's a concern. Absolutely a concern. For me, I think there's too many people involved in what's going on. Too many people involved in decision making. You just need, for me, you need one sporting director, one head of recruitment, one sporting director. I think there's too many people involved in what's going on. Too many heads inside the decision making process. And yeah, there needs to be one person in charge of it. One elite director, one manager. That's the reality. And I'm just concerned that, the hierarchy reportedly remain happy with the job these guys are doing. And more importantly, wanting to build the foundations around them. What have Winstanley and Stewart done to possibly convince that the foundations should be built around them? It makes no sense. It makes absolutely zero sense, and it's really quite concerning, guys. Really, in my opinion, it is. It's quite concerning, and I don't really know. I don't really know what to say about it. I don't know what to say about it, guys. They can't be happy with the fact we're 11th. We've lost a cup final. We're in danger of missing out on Europe for a second season in a row. But that largely down to poor recruitment from these guys. But yeah, but we're happy with them. I mean, suppose you want to build the foundations around them. This sounds like a brilliant idea. Sounds like an absolutely brilliant idea by all involved. So yeah, great job, guys. Well done. Well done to everyone on that front. Yeah, it that makes sense to me. Doesn't make sense to me whatsoever. But do you know what? It is what it is. Nothing really should surprise me with Chelsea at this stage. Yeah, I don't know. Florentino Perez runs around. We're going to look at what he's done with them. The only deal they only deal with elite, and it's hire and fire if you fail. But let's move away from that. We got a couple more things to go through, people. We have got a couple more things to go through. Let's briefly go through what Daniel Finkelstein has been saying. So he's one of the directors at Chelsea. Not a sporting director or anything. I think it's just a director on the board or something. Responds to a fan asking for transparency and open communication. We obviously have had the open letter from the sporting directors, and most importantly, we've set up the fan advisory board and are constantly communicating with fan groups. I'll certainly make sure your further request is passed on. And that was in response to this tweet here. Fraternity, the club's lawyers examine this biased, distorted, spiteful drivel from Ollie Holt. His agenda is damaging. I'd be disappointed if you felt you would ask me for practical assistance. I don't try my best. I clearly can't comment on every football opinion here or embroil the club in Twitter controversy, but I do read them. Do you have something practical I can help with? Why can't Chelsea fans know about the vision of the club from the owners themselves, just like Sir Jim Ratcliffe's done? Fans are promised transparency and open communication, but there's been none yet. Add this to the sparring results and this increasing negative environment. I note that we obviously had the open letter from the sporting directors. That was a while back. And most importantly, we've set up the fan advisory board and are constantly communicating with fan groups. I'll certainly make sure your further request is passed on. In fairness, like Danny Finkelstein's actually one of the nice guys, one of the better guys at Chelsea. I've actually met him on 2 occasions and had a chat with him. And he's a very nice guy. He listens. He does what he's a man of his word. He will pass that on. I've spoken to him. When did I see him? After Wolves away last season, first game under Frank Lampard, we bumped into him at a services in Oxford after the game. Had a quick chat with him about things. He was very, very forthcoming, very honest, very helpful. And I met him after a game at Stamford Bridge as well to further discuss a few things. But yeah. Look, I think it's important. Communication is really, really important. And the owners initially starting well, being quite open and honest with communication. It's not really been the same. It's dropped off massively. There's been nowhere near as much communication from the ownership as there were sort of near the start. And yeah, we really do need some more communication from them about what's going on. That is exactly what we need. Yeah, it's a problem. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what to say about it, but yeah, it's an issue and it needs addressing, and hopefully it will be addressed. It will be addressed. The owners need to come out and say something, because yeah, things are rapidly looking like they're heading downhill. Guys, with 65 likes, let's try and get this to 70 likes as quickly as possible. Keep smashing that like button. Subscribe if you're new around here. All of that good stuff. It's free. And it takes seconds to do. So please do that. There's still 63 of you in the building, guys. So make sure you are running those likes. Let's get it to 70, 80 likes if we can. 80 likes shouldn't be an issue whatsoever, guys. So make sure you are hitting the subscribe button and that like button. Let's run it up to at least 80 likes. Come on, guys, let's get to work. Not sure what hurts. Liverpool winning or Liverpool fans stealing the Bob Marley chant. I haven't heard that. Yes, Dead in the Water. I hope you're doing well, brother. But yeah, look, hopefully there's an improvement there, and there will be some more open communication, because we certainly need it. But yeah, in terms of a couple of other things to go through, guys. Once again, we have got the situation where there have been more kind of briefings on Christopher Nkunku. This is Nazar Consider. Inside Cobham, they remain excited about Nkunku's talents, but feel he needs time to overcome his injuries. So first of all, we had the situation where, Chelsea insiders are pinning their hopes on Nkunku's return, and they feel he can transform Chelsea's season. Now that he's returned and that hasn't happened, now it's like, they remain excited about Nkunku's talents, but he needs time to overcome his injuries. So what is it, guys? What one is it? What are we doing? What's going on? It's certainly an interesting one. That much is absolutely clear, people. But I don't know, Nkunku's an interesting one, isn't it? Because he's looking sluggish and he's lacking impact at the moment. And it's another problem for Pochettino. Nkunku is not happening at the moment. It just isn't. And it's another problem that he doesn't need. The lack of impact from the bench yesterday, in comparison to the kids that came off Liverpool's bench, is a problem, a real problem. A real problem. You would have thought bringing on Nkunku in the final would some sort of impact. He joined 53 million quid in the summer, and he came on with about 20 minutes to go. I think he had a few shots. He fluffed a major chance, and he just wasn't looking sharp at all. And he just couldn't get in the game, and he only had 18 touches, and he didn't win any of the 5 duels that he was involved in. And, since obviously the goal at Anfield last month, he's not looked anywhere near the form that he showed in pre-season. He's looked sluggish. It looks like he's not able to compete physically. He lacks match sharpness. And he's shown that against Wolves, against Palace, against City, and now in the final against Liverpool. And, yes, of course, I'm not writing Nkunku off at all. I think he's a very talented player. I think he'll be good for us. But right now, it's a bit of a problem. He's missed 4 months of the season with a knee issue. Then he had another month out with a hip problem over winter. I suppose in Nkunku's case, at least kind of injuries are a factor, but there's no doubt about it that it's another problem for Pochettino and how to get Nkunku to make more of an impact. Can we just put it down to the fact that he's just been injured most of the time? He's not fit. He's lacking sharpness, and maybe that's why. Look, it's way too early to be talking about be talking about Nkunku not being good enough. He absolutely is good enough. He's a top player. But yeah, injuries haven't helped him, and right now they're kind of struggling to fit him into the team, struggling to see what his best position is, and yeah, he's just kind of ghosting through games and not making an impact. So yeah, he's kind of facing a bit of a difficult problem at the moment. Something that I've got no doubt that he absolutely will get through and will come through. But yeah, it is a little bit of a concern. But I've got no doubts in my mind that Nkunku's going to be a top player for us. But right now, his form since he's come back from that hip problem has just been nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. And as I said, he looks sluggish. He looks isolated. Can't get in the games, and that's something that does need to be fixed, and it needs to be fixed pretty sharpish. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know, but yeah, it's another problem that he's not that Pochettino doesn't need. I just don't think Nkunku's a striker. Yeah, he can play there, but he's not what you'd call a pure number 9. He absolutely isn't what you'd call a pure number 9. You need, you need. For me, he needs to be playing off someone in that role, in that number 10 role, playing off a forward. Or he did play quite a lot of pre-season off the left-hand side. So maybe that might be better for him. I don't really, excuse me, I don't really know. But yeah, it's more issues that we don't need in terms of Christopher Nkunku. Need to hire Ty from AFTV for better excuses. Maybe that's what needs to happen. But yeah, look, Nkunku, I think he absolutely has to start this game against Leeds on Wednesday. Try and get him, back into the swing of things. But yeah, it's an issue and a headache that we absolutely don't need on that front. But moving away from the Nkunku situation, just a couple more things to go through, guys. This one here, again, according to Matt Law, this is in regards to Mykhailo Mudryk. So some Chelsea insiders had been predicting that Mykhailo Mudryk could be one of the players of the year when Pochettino arrived last summer, which raises questions over their judgment. I don't know. Look, the Mudryk ones, Pochettino needs to drop Gallagher and Nkunku plays better as number 10. Yeah, it's difficult right now. He's better than Jackson up front, and Jackson better on right wing. Yeah, I think we're going to get to a point now where Nkunku's just going to have to play, and Gallagher, unfortunately, is going to have to miss out. Or you leave out one of Enzo and Caicedo and you play Gallagher deeper if you really want to play him. Yes, big up, brother. I would agree on that. Let's get into this Mudryk stuff. I refuse to believe that Mykhailo Mudryk is shit. It's not working out at the moment. The ability is absolutely there. Like, I don't think any of us can seriously, hand on heart, say that there's not ability and there's not talent there. You've seen what he was doing for Shakhtar in the Champions League. There's ability there, and he can perform. We've seen it in brief moments for Chelsea that there is the potential there to perform. When he gets a run of games, he does do better. He absolutely does. There's no denying that. I think it was poor from Pochettino yesterday that, having not used Mudryk for the last 3 games, he then chucks him on with a couple minutes of normal time remaining and expects him to try and rescue a cup final. I think that's poor management on the manager's behalf. But again, like, what's the plan with Mudryk? He's not going to develop or get any better if he's not playing or he's feeding off scraps. Mudryk, yes, he's not made much impact this season despite being fit for the majority of it. It is a problem, but I do refuse to believe that Mudryk is not talented. He absolutely is. And I think he's got all the attributes to be a top player. He works hard, but for whatever reason, he's not getting the opportunities from the manager. And I don't know why that is. I don't know why that is, but I'm convinced, guys. I'm convinced that I'm absolutely convinced that if he gets a run of games where he plays 60, 70 minutes each game across the next 4 or 5, there will be a massive improvement. There'll be a massive improvement in his game. That's that for me. I still believe it. I still believe in Mudryk. I still believe he'll get there. It's you watch highlights of his time at Shakhtar Donetsk, and you can see And you've seen Zinchenko like say that the sky's the limit with him. He's got incredible uh, potential and ability. You only have to see his highlights for Shakhtar in the Champions League and what he's doing. It's like, I believe in him. But this wasn't like that. I mean, the fact that the Sassy was having a go at Mudryk for set piece defending when he should have been leading the back line and making sure people were doing what they're doing was ridiculous. I would agree on that front. I would absolutely agree on that front. He more, I think, is seemingly he more than most players is absolutely a confidence player, and he's not getting that at Chelsea right now. He's not getting that at Chelsea. Look, I'm prepared to die on this Mudryk hill. I honestly really believe he's a top player. The potential's there, the ability's there, but he's not being nurtured in the right environment at Chelsea for me. Unless we're going to give him opportunities, then we need to send him on loan where he can go and play regular football, because that's what he needs right now. That's what he needs right now. And I think with Mudryk, he'll be one of those players that if he does leave Chelsea, then he'll go on and he'll go and play very, very well somewhere else. He's not getting the minutes that he needs to develop as a footballer and show what he can do. It's very hard to make an impact when you're getting 10 minutes here and there. He's one of those players that, needs an arm around the shoulder and just be like, look, I'm starting you this week. If you're shit, you're going to start next week. If you're not that great, you're going to start the week after. He needs that. Not playing is not helping him at all. I'm not saying he should just be given minutes for the sake of it, but he deserves an opportunity, and he absolutely deserves a run of games. You look at players like Mohamed Salah at the time when he came to Chelsea. It didn't happen. It wasn't happening. Same with Kevin De Bruyne. Now, I'm not saying that Mudryk's going to reach levels of Salah or De Bruyne. I'm not saying that by any stretch of the imagination. But the point does apply that some players take longer to develop than others. Some people take longer to reach that potential than other players do. And yeah, look, people are very quick to speak and to criticize Mudryk, but it's very hard to make, as I said, to make an impact when you're hardly getting any level of opportunity to do that. So yeah, I will defend him. Look, his performance has not been great this season. He's not made an impact, but it's also very fair to say that he's not been given an opportunity to really make an impact. I mean, guys, what are your thoughts on this situation? He needs to play for me. As a club, you've made that £62.5 million investment. You need to do everything you can to make sure that you make a success of this player. And it seems right now that Chelsea aren't doing everything in their power to make sure that Mudryk reaches the potential that he's obviously got. So the club needs to take responsibility for that. Is the environment at Chelsea, optimal for Mudryk to thrive in? This is it. He's not. Look, we've seen in glimpses that Mudryk's got talent, but we just haven't. Exactly as you say, we haven't developed it. We simply haven't developed it, and that's something that Chelsea aren't good at, is developing players. We always seem to let ourselves down when developing players. We do. That's the reality. But Mudryk for me is a good player. Is a good player. And I think it's absolutely fair. He was, and again, look, it's the Ukrainian league, sure, but he was Ukrainian Player of the Year a couple of years back. And let's be real, he was sensational at Shakhtar Donetsk. That's why he was bought. As I said, you saw what he did in the Champions League. I think a more suitable question to ask is, why isn't Pochettino getting the best out of this player? That, for me, is more of a question to ask than saying that, oh, Mudryk's crap or whatnot. He clearly isn't. I think the question that needs to be asked is, why is Pochettino A, not getting enough out of him, getting the best out of him, and B, why is he not getting opportunities to showcase what he can do? That, for me, I think those are more valid questions than no, it wasn't. He was the Ukrainian Player of the Year as well, and he was good in that. He was good in that Champions League group stage, as well. So yeah, I think, you don't make an investment unless you're going to do everything you can to make sure that investment works out. And right now, the powers that be at Chelsea are not doing everything they can to get the best out of the investment that they've made in Mudryk. That is the simple reality of the situation. In my opinion, that for me is the reality. I don't understand it. Yeah, look, obviously people are going to have different opinions, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just unsure of the situation for me. Um, I think he's a good player. I do think he's a good player, but I think yesterday was poor. How can you expect Mudryk to come in and perform miracles in a cup final when he was an unused sub for the last 3 games, and then how can you expect him to perform in these circumstances? I think Pochettino hasn't managed him well. Look, if it turns out that Mudryk's not good enough, I'll hold my hands up and accept that I'm wrong. But I don't believe that everything is being done to help him to make him realize his potential. It's not. Yeah, for sure. And Poch was doing that earlier in the season when Mudryk had 2 sort of semi-regular runs in the side. We were seeing some good form, goals, assists. We were seeing stuff, and now for some reason he's not getting it. They wanted Mudryk because Arsenal wanted him. End of debate. Fair enough. Strongly believe that the coach is the person to motivate the team, and certainly Poch is not doing that. Maybe not. Maybe not. I think there's definitely an argument to be made for that point of view. I expect a player to be telling manager, "Put me on, I'll change the game." But yeah, I think the amount of criticism Mudryk's coming in for, I think is way over the top. I think it's quite frankly ridiculous, really, given that he's barely had an opportunity yet seems to, come in for a lot of criticism when, more established players seem to be getting away with much less criticism, despite performing a lot worse comparatively. It doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, Chelsea are going to need to develop these players, and Mudryk's no different. You've got to do everything you can to make sure you get the best out of the players that you've put this big investment in. That for me is the reality of the situation. But yeah, it is what it is, people. It is what it is. But yeah, guys, let me see if there's any last minute stuff that has come out whilst we've been on. I don't think there is. So people think we're gonna round this one out here. Big up to everyone that has tuned in this evening. It's greatly appreciated. Thanks for your support as always. On the way out, people, make sure you're smashing that like button. Let's get this up to 80 likes. We're 3 away from 80 likes, so make sure we smash that like button. Let's get it to 80. Please subscribe if you are new around here as well. We're over 8K now. Let's keep that climbing. And as we head towards 9, so please subscribe if you're new around here. Smash the likes on the way out. I'll be back tomorrow with a preview for the Leeds United game. So make sure you stay tuned for that one. 5:30 p.m. UK time tomorrow. Leeds United preview and any other news. Thanks for the support, guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I'll be back tomorrow. Love and up the Chelsea. Peace out, people.